Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to EonsOfBattle, and today I'd like to show you how to make some graveyard bases. These bases would work great for some zombie miniatures. If you enjoy our videos and want to see more of them, head on over to our EonsOfBattle Patreon. Here are the paints I'll be using. You can find a list of materials in the description below. The first thing I did is I cut some popsicle sticks with my hobby saw to make my tombstones. Then I used some super glue to apply them to the base. To strengthen my glue bonds, I applied some baking soda, which activates the superglue instantly. To add a little variety to my graveyard, I alternated between round tombstones and square tombstones. On the larger base, I wanted to make a bigger tombstone, so I embellished it a little bit with some coffee stirrers. I superglued on my coffee stirrer to the side of the popsicle stick. I used my hobby nippers to trim it flush at the top, and then I applied another piece of coffee stirrer. I sanded all the sides smooth, and then I applied the round end of a popsicle stick to the top. I then superglued it down to the base, and as I was gluing my tombstones, I made sure to put them on an angle to give a little bit more room to the model that's going to sit on the base. And there's the finished tombstones. Next, to apply a little texture to the base, I added a layer of superglue, and then I sprinkled on some kitty litter. The nice thing about the cat litter trick is it dries almost instantly, so it's a very fast process. The cat litter right on the edge of the base is standing a little too tall, so I used a nail file to sand it down. If you like our stuff, stay tuned for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next, I made myself a big batch of texture paste. I mixed together some wall spackle, Elmer's glue, fine-grained sand, and a few drops of brown and black ink. I used the brown ink because I planned on using this as the base color for my ground, but I decided later that I would prime the model black and go from there, so I added a few drops of black ink just to darken it further. I then applied this mixture to the base using a damp brush. I let that dry overnight, and then I primed the models black. I'm using an airbrush, but you could also do this with a rattle can. Next, I base coated the tombstones with some P3 Ironhull Grey. Next, I applied some Vallejo Stonewall Grey with a sponge. The reason I'm sponging it is because there's a little bit of a wood grain, and I want to get rid of that and create a stone effect. I sponged this onto all the tombstones, leaving a little bit of the Ironhull Grey showing underneath. Next, I watered down some Vallejo Ghost Grey. I then used a toothbrush and my finger to spatter this onto the tombstones. This will further enhance the stone effect. Next, I watered down some black paint, and I used a brush with long bristles to create some random cracks on the tombstones. You want these marks to be soft and random, you don't want it to look like pen lines. Next, I did the same thing with some Vallejo Ghost Grey, and I used this to highlight my cracks further. The black paint is the shadow of the crack, and the Ghost Grey is the light hitting on the inside of the crack. I also used Vallejo Ghost Grey to edge highlight all of the tombstones. Now that I'm finished with the tombstones, I moved on to the ground, and I base coated it with some Games Workshop Rhinox hide. Then, to finish off the dirt, I applied a dry brushing of some Vallejo Earth. Next, I'm going to be adding some flock, so I poured myself some Elmer's glue, and I used a damp brush to apply it to the base in patches. Then I applied some green static grass. Then, to add more pizzazz to the base, I took some leaves and I cut them in half, and then I used Green Stuff World's Scale Leaf Punch to punch myself out some baby leaves. Then, to apply these leaves to the base, I poured myself some clear Elmer's glue, and I began dipping my leaves into the glue and applying them to the base. I also found applying some glue to the base and using a hobby knife to pick up the leaf works as well. If you followed along with this video, please post your work to Instagram and tag EonsOfBattle so that we can share it. Now that the bases are finished, the last thing to do is to paint the skirt of the base black. And there you have 3 finished graveyard bases. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.